Once I know now how they act, I'll know in 10 years' time, I'll have the experience to know how to overcome challenges like this.
Koenigsegg, a name that even billionaires whisper with respect. A manufacturer so exclusive, so secretive, so untouchable that most people will never see one of their cars in real life, and they just reached out to Matt Armstrong. Let that land for a second. Not Bugatti, not Lamborghini, not Rolls-Royce. Koenigsegg, the most exclusive hypercar manufacturer on the planet, personally reached out to a YouTuber from Leicester, and nobody saw it coming. This is not a normal story. This is the moment that everything changed, not just for Matt Armstrong, not just for the automotive world, but for the entire relationship between manufacturers and the people who love their cars. Because when Koenigsegg decides to move, when a brand that produces fewer cars per year than most people have fingers decides to pick up the phone and make contact, it means something. It means the industry is paying attention in a way it never has before. It means the rules are changing. And it means that what Matt Armstrong started with a crashed Bugatti in a Copart yard has grown into something far bigger, far more powerful, and far more consequential than anyone imagined when this journey began. But to understand why this moment is so massive, why it sent shockwaves through every corner of the automotive world the moment it became known, you need to understand exactly who and what Koenigsegg is. Because this is not just any manufacturer reaching out. This is the manufacturer that other manufacturers look at and wonder how they do it. Christian von Koenigsegg founded his company in 1994 with a simple and completely insane ambition to build the fastest, most advanced road car in the world. In a converted Air Force base in the south of Sweden, with a team so small it defies logic. And somehow, against every reasonable expectation, he did exactly that. Koenigsegg has broken speed records that the automotive world thought were untouchable. They have pioneered technology that has filtered down into mainstream cars years after Koenigsegg introduced it. They produce somewhere between 50 and 80 cars per year in total, not per model. In total, every single car hand-built, every single customer personally known to the company. This is a world so exclusive that buying one is not simply a financial transaction. It is an invitation. And Koenigsegg just extended that energy, that exclusivity, that extraordinary level of attention toward Matt Armstrong. Now, let's go back to where the story really starts. Because the Koenigsegg contact did not happen in a vacuum. It happened because of everything that came before it. And everything that came before it started with a decision that most people in the automotive world thought was either incredibly brave or completely insane. When Matt Armstrong decided to take on the Bugatti Chiron Per Sport rebuild, he was not just buying a wrecked car, he was making a statement. A statement that said the car belongs to its owner, not its manufacturer. That said skill and determination matter more than corporate gatekeeping. That said the era of manufacturers holding all the power over what you can and cannot do with your own property was coming to an end. And the world listened. Millions of people listened. And crucially, the people who build the most extraordinary cars on the planet listened too. Because here is something that most people watching the Bugatti drama from the outside completely missed. While the public conversation was all about the conflict, about the locked VIN and the refused parts, and the CEO's statement, and the controversy surrounding every step of the rebuild, something else was happening behind the scenes. Something quieter. Something more significant. The automotive industry was conducting a very careful, very serious assessment of Matt Armstrong. Not as a threat, not as a problem to be managed, but as a phenomenon to be understood. Because what Matt Armstrong had built, and we are not talking about the Bugatti here, we are talking about the audience, the trust, the cultural presence, was something that no marketing budget in the world could replicate. And the smartest people in the automotive industry knew it. But here's what nobody knew at the time. While Bugatti was focused on the conflict, while the public was watching the drama unfold, while the comment sections of 100 automotive channels were debating the rights and wrongs of the rebuild, Koenigsegg was watching something different. They were watching the engagement. They were watching the quality of the conversation. They were watching the way Matt Armstrong handled pressure, handled criticism, handled complexity, handled controversy. And what they saw impressed them in a way that no press release, no sponsored post, no traditional media partnership ever could. They saw authenticity. And in a world drowning in manufactured content, authentic is the rarest and most valuable thing there is. Now, let's talk about what the Koenigsegg Reach Out actually means in practical terms, because it is easy to hear a story like this and reduce it to a headline. Famous car brand contacts famous YouTuber. But the reality is so much more layered than that. Koenigsegg does not do things casually. Every decision that company makes is deliberate, considered, and intentional. Christian von Koenigsegg did not build one of the most respected automotive brands in the world by making impulsive choices. When Koenigsegg reaches out to someone, it is because they have thought carefully about why, about what it means, about what they want the relationship to be. And the fact that they chose Matt Armstrong, specifically Matt Armstrong, in the wake of everything that happened with Bugatti, tells you everything you need to know about how the smartest manufacturers are reading this moment in automotive history. Think about the contrast here, because the contrast is everything. On one side, you have Bugatti, a manufacturer that responded to Matt Armstrong's rebuild with a locked VIN, refused parts, a public statement from their CEO, and a corporate position that essentially said you are not welcome in our world. On the other side, you have Koenigsegg, a manufacturer that looked at exactly the same situation, the same YouTuber, the same audience, the same cultural moment, and responded by reaching out, by making contact, by saying we see what you are doing, and we want to be part of the conversation. Two manufacturers, two completely different responses, and only one of them understood what was actually happening. But here's what nobody knew about Koenigsegg's internal culture before this moment brought it into focus. Koenigsegg has always operated differently from the rest of the hypercar world. While other manufacturers built walls, Koenigsegg built relationships. While other brands guarded their technology behind layers of corporate secrecy, Koenigsegg openly discussed their engineering innovations, filed patents that were visible to the world, and cultivated a culture of transparency that was genuinely unusual at their level of the market. Christian von Koenigsegg himself is known for personally engaging with customers, enthusiasts, and media in a way that no other hypercar CEO does. He answers questions. He explains decisions. He treats the people who love his cars as intelligent adults who deserve real information. And when you understand that culture, when you understand that this is who Koenigsegg has always been, the decision to reach out to Matt Armstrong stops being surprising. It becomes inevitable. Now, let's talk about the moment the automotive community found out. Because the reaction was something to witness. The internet did not just notice this story. It erupted. Because everyone who had followed the Bugatti drama, everyone who had watched Matt Armstrong fight through every obstacle and controversy and corporate roadblock, everyone who had invested emotionally in that journey suddenly found themselves watching the plot twist nobody had written into the script. The manufacturer that sent care packages without being asked. The manufacturer that made contact not because they had to, not because they were forced by legislation or public pressure, but because they wanted to, because they recognized something in Matt Armstrong that aligned with something in themselves. And that alignment, that unexpected connection between a one-man operation in Leicester and a 50-car-per-year manufacturer in Sweden, produced one of the most talked-about moments in automotive YouTube history. And here is where the story gets even more shocking. Because the Koenigsegg Reach Out did not just affect Matt Armstrong's channel. It affected the entire conversation around how manufacturers should relate to independent creators, to rebuilders, to the people who love cars enough to dedicate their lives to them even when the official channels are closed. Every automotive journalist, every industry insider, every manufacturer's PR team was suddenly asking the same question. Are we on the right side of this? Are we the Bugatti or the Koenigsegg in the story? Because nobody wants to be the company that locked the VIN. Nobody wants to be the brand remembered for trying to stop a man from fixing a car he legally owned. But everybody wants to be the company that was smart enough, humble enough, visionary enough to recognize what Matt Armstrong represented and choose collaboration over confrontation. The ripple effects of this are still spreading because manufacturers talk to each other. Industries have memories. And the story of Bugatti versus Matt Armstrong, followed by Koenigsegg's extraordinary gesture, is now part of the permanent record of how the hypercar world navigated one of the most significant cultural shifts in its history. The shift from a world where manufacturers control the narrative to a world where creators, audiences, and communities hold power that no corporate structure, can simply override. Matt Armstrong did not create that shift, but he became its most visible symbol. And Koenigsegg, by reaching out, aligned themselves with the future rather than the past. But let's bring this back to the human level for a moment, because all of this industry analysis, all of this talk about legislation and cultural shifts in corporate strategy, it is all real and it all matters. But at the center of it is a person, a man who started on a BMX bike and ended up changing the automotive industry. A man who bought a crash car that everyone said couldn't be fixed and fixed it anyway. A man who faced a billion-dollar corporation's full opposition and came out the other side still standing, still building, still filming, still sharing every moment of the journey with the millions of people who chose to believe in him. And now that man has a care package from Koenigsegg sitting somewhere in his workshop. Think about that journey. Think about every moment that had to happen for that to be true. Every obstacle overcome. Every controversy navigated. Every late night in the workshop. Every difficult video. Every moment of doubt, followed by a decision to keep going anyway. All of it leading to this. Koenigsegg, reaching out, because what Matt Armstrong built was impossible to ignore. And what does Matt Armstrong do with this moment? That is the question the entire automotive world is now asking, because this is not just an endorsement. This is not just a brand partnership opportunity. This is an invitation into a world that almost nobody gets invited into. A world where 60 cars a year are hand-built by people who treat engineering as art. A world where the owner of the company knows every customer personally. A world where the word exclusive means something real and not just expensive. What Matt Armstrong does next with the door that Koenigsegg just opened will define the next chapter of a story that has already produced more drama, more emotion, and more genuine cultural impact than most automotive stories manage in a decade. And here's the final thought we want to leave you with today. Because this story, the whole arc of it from the Bugatti blacklist to the Koenigsegg care package, is ultimately a story about reputation, about what you build when nobody is watching, and how it pays off when everyone finally is. Matt Armstrong built his reputation one wrecked car at a time, one honest video at a time, one moment of refusing to pretend things were easier than they were at a time. He